Hello everyone and welcome back to another AFK Journey video. In this video, we're on the Pioneer server, so keep in mind the content we talk about is subject to change by official release. We're going to be going through the 12 different new artifacts we're going to be getting for the new season, and there's one I really have my eyes on. I think it will probably be the best artifact for Endless Dream Realm bosses, but let's go ahead and get right into it. The first artifact, as kind of a tradition, is going to be a healing related artifact called the Lightcall Spell. It gives attack, HP, and vitality. When a battle starts, summons 2 light phase nearby. Whenever an allied hero's current HP drops below 60%, consumes 1 light phase to heal that hero's health for 12% of team's attack per second over 5 seconds. After the initial cast, summon 1 light phase every 8 seconds. A maximum of 4 light phase can be active at once. And then with further upgrades, it will increase the healing amount per second and add the plus 30. Okay, so it will go all the way until plus 30, which is the final maximum level of an artifact for the season, where they unlock a new unique effect. It was different because in the previous season, at like level plus 20, we unlocked the unique effect, and then plus 25 was just like a boost to the earlier effects that we had. But here it's going to wait right until plus 30. And by the way, guys, to get to plus 30 artifact, which is a maximum level, we're not going to be able to get that until the final phase of the season, which is phase 3. And that is going to be over 70 days into the new season, over 10 weeks into the new season, before we're going to even be, anyone's going to be able to upgrade to plus 30, because it is going to be gated by phases now. Okay, so the final one summons a Shadow Fae at the start of a battle and every 8 seconds thereafter if an enemy hero is below 70% health and has not already been possessed by a Shadow Fae. Consumes 1 Shadow Fae to have it possess the enemy for 5 seconds. While possessing an enemy, the Shadow Fae deals magic damage equal to... So this is going to combine some damage output along with healing. But I honestly don't think that is great, because like usually you want an artifact that goes all in on one specific thing. If it's healing, just make it more powerful for healing. Don't try to also add some damage in there as well. But the plus extra magic damage equal to 15% of the possessed enemy's lost health. The extra damage cannot exceed 20% of the team's attack. Yeah, overall, I find this strange. I honestly don't think this artifact is going to be used that much. Generally, healing artifacts aren't. Yeah, okay, let's move on to the next artifact. Dragonroar Spell. This is an interesting one. First of all, it looks really cool. I'm a fan of the design. Attack, HP, haste. These are really good. 2 great offensive stats. And then tankiness as well. Calls upon the might of dragons 6 seconds into battle and every 12 seconds afterward, granting all allies blessing for 6 seconds. The blessing increases their attack by 24% and damage reduction by 15%. This is a nice artifact. I think for PvP, this is probably going to be one of the top tier artifacts. Look at it, it goes up to 34% attack bonus and a damage reduction of up to 20%, and this is for all allies, lasting for 6 seconds, and then it will be casted and cycled every 12 seconds. So like basically 50% uptime throughout the whole fight you're going to have. But I think this attack bonus is pretty massive actually, and then also damage reduction is useful for PvP. Could even be useful for AFK stages, and even for Dream Realm, the attack buff alone might be enough, and for pre-endless bosses, maybe the damage reduction can help you as well. The Might of Dragons also intimidates the enemy. Casting this spell reduces all enemies' attack speed by 35 for 6 seconds. This is useful for AFK stages, debuffing the enemies. PvP, it would be useful as well. And Dream Realm, probably not really, but yeah. So I think I'm expecting good things from Dragonroar Spell. I think it will receive quite a decent amount of play in the new season. Okay, next one we have Shadowblast Spell. Defense, penetration, execution, health. So execution is the first thing that drawn my attention. Generally, execution is almost a wasted stat because, okay, not necessarily a wasted stat, but I'm thinking about it from boss content. So for boss content, execution can not apply to endless bosses that have unlimited health pools, because it only gives bonus damage when the enemy has below 50% of their maximum health. But for pre-endless bosses, I think it can still work, and for Guild Supremacy, this can work. It also has defense, penetration, amplifying your damage. Okay, let's take a look at the information. Unleashes a blast of shadow energy on the one frontmost enemy 2 seconds into battle and every 7 seconds afterward. So only one enemy. The blast deals damage equal to 75% of team's attack and stuns the affected enemies for 2 seconds. If an affected enemy's current health is below 10%, and less than 80% of team attack, they're instantly defeated. Oh, okay, so this is actually going to be a knockout. I can see this actually for AFK stages. I think this could potentially be good for AFK stages. Also, like, it would instantly defeat like enemies like Thorin, annoying, difficult to deal with heroes. So this has some good and like maybe synergy with like Siren as well on top of all of this. Yeah, I could actually imagine this being good for AFK stages, but this is not, and for Dream Realm, most likely not. Most likely not for Dream Realm, to be honest, because that execution is still going to be capped by a percentage of the team's attack, so probably not going to get major execution value even for pre-endless bosses. So increase the blast damage up to 100% of the team attack. And then finally, after casting the spell 3 times during a battle, it will target the 2 frontmost enemies, so it gets more value, double the value of more stuns, more damage output. I can definitely imagine this in AFK stages. Crowd control, it has that execution for instant defeat for some specific stages, and also maybe some decent damage output here as well, and 2 frontmost enemies. So I think Shadowblast potentially could be decent for AFK stages. I feel like for Dream Realm and boss content, most likely not. Other than maybe for like Guild Supremacy when the boss drops below 50% health for the execution, potentially that could be. Okay, next up, Coreforge Spell. This has attack, physical and magical defense, and haste. Okay, again, 2 offensive stats and then 1 tanky stat. When a battle starts, create a magic sigil beneath the rearmost ally. Okay, only going to be buffing one of your allies on your team, the rearmost, kind of like Lightforge Spell of the current season. While standing on the sigil, the ally becomes unaffected. Okay, that's good. And gains, so like Enlightening Spell, and gains 35 haste and 15% damage reduction. When the ally leaves the sigil, these bonuses are lost for 3 seconds before the sigil relocates beneath their new position. If the sigil remains active for 10 consecutive seconds, the haste bonus further increases to 50. Okay, so what is going on here? When the ally leaves the sigil, okay, so this is good for heroes who are going to remain on a tile, because then they are going to remain in control of these buffs, like the haste, damage reduction, unaffected, and like, which is the first hero that came to my mind is Indris, who has a 15 range, and like, I mean, he's never gonna have to move, and he's gonna be unaffected, so like, the enemies will not be able to displace him. It's only like, shorter range heroes are not gonna be a great carrier for this spell artifact. So like, this is not going to work on like Athalia, Harok, because they're going to keep jumping around from the sigil. So that doesn't, yeah, but then if the sigil remains active for 10, and then, but then the sigil will relocate beneath their new position. So I guess it has potential usage, but I would think you would want it to be permanently active on that hero, because any downtime is going to be like wasted. If the sigil remains active for 10 consecutive seconds, the haste bonus further increases to 50, and in total, this is going to go up to 75 haste bonus after 10 consecutive, active for 10 consecutive seconds, but that's like, for PvP, probably 10 seconds into the battle, it's probably decided, so like, you're not going to actually get the huge value from this. If the magic sigil remains active for 20 seconds, converts 35% of the affected allies' damage dealt to true damage. I feel like AFK stages, when you're going to have a long drawn out fight for Dream Realm, honestly, at this point, I could even imagine this being for Dream Realm. 35% of the affected allies' damage dealt is going to be converted to true damage. That is basically like the Hugin Rainier Charm of this season, but just in an artifact. And like, you would always be getting that off. This is actually kind of interesting. I'm pleasantly surprised because already we've gone through 3 artifacts, which potentially I could see some way of all of them being useful for Dream Realm. It's really only the Lightcall which I can count out as of right now. Okay, Bloodrage Spell. Attack speed, life drain. Like, these are generally not considered the top offensive stats. Life drain is kind of like a defensive one. Attack speed is not considered as good as haste because haste gives cooldown reduction as well. And attack is of course the best. Okay, when a battle starts, grants blood frenzy to the frontmost allied hero for the entire battle. Increases the frenzy's allies' attack speed by 54 and their life drain by 30, but reduces their energy gain by 60%. The frenzied ally also becomes unaffected for the first 12 seconds of frenzy. Okay, this is really strange. I mean, frontmost is buffing up your tank, interestingly, rather than a rearmost ally. They're going to be unaffected. I like that for 12 seconds. The attack speed and life drain, honestly, I'm not a big fan of attack speed and life drain unless you're just trying to, like, you know, basically tank out the enemies and sustain yourself back up. So like putting a carry damage dealer in the front who will just get a benefit of this attack speed and life drain and be able to self-sustain themselves. The energy gain is going to be reduced. So you would want to give this to a hero that is not really dependent on their ultimate as much. And nothing immediately comes to mind for this. Yeah, let's continue. Increase attack speed and life drain all the way up to 84 attack speed, 45 life drain. I mean, they're going to be unaffected as well. I can imagine them just like, especially if you have the Malefaction talents on them as well. We don't know the positioning of the Malefaction talents, but if they are in the front line like they were in this season, then you could actually have a Bloodrage Spell onto a Malefaction talent, which gives damage reduction, boosted melee damage dealt. You could actually go insane. Like, you'd be so tanky, you'd have high attack speed and life drain, you'd sustain yourself back up, and you'd be almost unkillable. I could definitely imagine this actually working. After the Frenzied ally gains 2 assists or defeat, or is fought in the Blood Frenzy state for 25 seconds, they regain their senses and increase their attack by 50% for the rest of the battle? What? On top of the existing bonuses, this also removes the energy What? A 50% attack boost, and then also no drawback. Basically, the energy gain reduction is going to be completely nullified, and you're going to have normal energy regeneration. And this is either after 25 seconds in a battle. Like in PvP, that's not going to happen. The battle will be over by that point. But if it's AFK stages, if it's somehow Dream Realm, then they're going to definitely last 25 seconds and then get all the benefit of all of this. But I don't know. I mean, if the stats distribution, like, the attack is not even, it's just comparable to the other artifacts. So, like, it's just mainly going to be buffing one of your allies in the front. And, like, is that going to be enough to actually warrant running this artifact over another artifact, which would be better for Dream Realm? But again, I can even imagine a situation where this could be viable for Dream Realm. 4 out of the 5 artifacts we've reviewed so far. Okay, now we've come to my favorite artifact. 2 offensive stats, attack and haste, 1 defensive stat, that's good. The attack is a little bit lower as compared to the other artifacts we've seen. However, that's fine, because the active effect, basically the effect of this artifact, is crazy. Vilespring Spell. Every time allies cast 6 ultimates, and when you get maximum rank, it's going to be 5 ultimates, but that's like right at the end of the season. But summons a corrupted fountain that covers the enemy side of the battlefield for 6 seconds. Enemies inside, and this is the entire enemy side, enemies inside the area have their vitality reduced by 60. That heavily reduces the healing and shielding onto them. Their attack reduced by 30%, that's a big debuff, and lose health. Lose health equal to, this is the first artifact we've ever had in the history of AFK Journey that has lose health based damage, which is basically considered HP per second damage. And that is the most powerful damage version for Endless Dream Realm bosses. And so I'm thinking for Endless Dream Realm bosses, look at this, HP loss per second of 4.2% of the entire team attack, and that is going to be the sum of all the attack of all members on the team, which can be like, so basically I consider it like if the 5 allies on the team, 5 times 4.2 is like over a 20% basically regular attack multiplier of any one hero, and this is going to be an HP per second damage, and it is going to be lasting for 6 seconds, but you're going to be able to cycle it, especially with the twins and how you're going to cycle ultimates so quickly, and with 5 ultimate casts, you're probably going to be able to have permanent uptime of this and just ticking that HP per second damage, which is valuable. It's basically like you have a mini Ludovic with you in your team just by having the artifact, because Ludovic also deals HP per second damage, but Ludovic deals much more than this, but that basically, I could imagine you doing 5 billion or plus damage just off of this artifact alone, the damage contribution just from this artifact. So I am expecting good things for this, but this is only for Endless Dream Realm bosses, because HP per second damage is not very effective for the pre-Endless bosses, or not as effective. It's mainly for the Endless bosses where it is going to really shine. So it will be a while before we can do that. Okay, Guardian Spell. Now, there was player Shadow. He messaged me and he wanted me to talk about this artifact specifically, I think for PvP applications. Let's take a look at it. So HP, Haste, Vitality. Good set of stat distribution. Haste is one of the best stats because it gives you attack speed as well as cooldown reduction. HP is great tanky stat, the best tanky stat, and Vitality for shielding and healing effectiveness. When a battle starts, grants a Guardian's Grace to all allies for 8 seconds. While active, Guardian's Grace reduces damage taken by 60%. That is more than a Coco ultimate. Reduces damage dealt by 60%, so like you have the major drawback as well. Your damage is going to be low, but like if you're going for a stall-oriented team, and you need some time to ramp up, this is exactly what you need. And restores 20 energy per second. If any, he told me that he would think this would be good for Cryonaya type comps. And yeah, actually that makes a lot of sense, because Cryonaya is just about stalling the early game, casting her ultimate, and then she's like, okay, I got this, guys. Everyone, we're going to kill 3 enemies, and we're going to win the fight from now on. So if she can get that massive damage reduction to protect her and make her unkillable for that first 8 seconds, then she's going to cast her ultimate, and boom. That's all she wrote. That's going to be end of story. Reduces damage dealt by 60% and restores 20 energy per second. That's also good. If any ally casts their first ultimate during this time, the damage dealt reduction effect inflicted by this skill is immediately lifted for that ally. So if Cryonaya, any ally who casts their first ultimate, you get damage reduction is going to be completely removed. This is crazy. It's actually like protect Cryonaya until she can cast her ultimate, and then you remove this limitation of the damage dealt reduction, and she's gonna blow everything up. Honestly, I do think this is going to be insane for Cryonaya. It's very catered towards her. Increases the damage reduction to 70% and energy recovery per second to 40. 40 energy per second? 70%? What? 70% damage reduction? Like, they're not going to be able to do anything to you. This is some of the highest damage reduction you can even imagine. So like, even though we don't have invincibility tiles this season, honestly, Guardian Spell might be that for PvP. Just in an artifact. Yeah, I am actually thinking this may be one of the most broken PvP artifacts for specific comps. When a non-summon ally takes a fatal blow, blocks that damage. Okay, so we also have Scarlita's new Supreme Plus skill upgrade shielding just in this artifact effect alone. When a non-summon ally takes a fatal blow, blocks that damage and instantly grants them a permanent shield equal to 120% of the team's attack. It's basically just Scarlita's Supreme Plus skill upgrade. This shield can trigger up to, but this can be 2 times per battle. Even the artifact is power creeping Scarlita. That's, yeah, and if you can't tell, I have some trauma with Scarlita because I have heavily invested into her, and I had some expectations for a Supreme Plus upgrade, and they were let down. But I didn't get my hopes up too high, and I talked about that in a previous video because I knew, generally speaking, Supreme Plus skill upgrades never are that game-changing, but yeah, anyway, this shield can trigger up to 2 times per battle, regardless of whether the Guardian's Grace is active. This is ridiculous. This is a ridiculous PvP artifact. Honestly, broken. That's all I can say about it. Okay, Stormlash Spell. Attack, physical and magical defense, execution. Okay, another execution artifact with a high amount of... This is even higher than the other one, right? 1.5. So yeah, if you're talking about a guild supremacy team that needs like execution as the most important stat for them, this is going to be the artifact. You just want to ramp up execution as much as possible. Attack and execution, physical and magical defense. Unleashes chain lightning at the nearest enemy every 7 seconds, dealing magic damage equal to 70% of the team attack. The lightning then bounces 3 times between enemies with this damage reduced by 20% each bounce. Increases damage dealt by chain lightning to the first enemy hit every 7 seconds. That's a bit long, right? And then you have 120% team attack. After casting the spell 4 times and gaining 1 assist or defeat with it, chain lightning's damage becomes true. Okay, that's what I was waiting for. I was like, I mean, doesn't look too amazing. Oh, but then we just gonna convert this damage into true damage. Chain lightning's damage becomes true damage and no longer decreases with each bounce. Okay, this is actually gonna become busted when you get the plus 30 upgrade. 120% of the whole summed up team's attack, dealing as bouncing true damage that is not reduced at all. But it has to cast 4 times. That's going to be a long time, right? 4 times 7, 28 seconds. In PvP, the match is long over. So, like, this is not going to work in PvP. Only for AFK stages. I could imagine in AFK stages, maybe Primal Lord, where true damage is useful. Maybe even Dream Realm, honestly. But you would need the plus 30 upgrade. Before the plus 30 upgrade, I'm not a fan of this. I think it's probably not going to be used. Okay, moving on. Elderbow Spell. Attack speed, HP. So, the best offensive stat, attack speed, which I don't consider as good as haste, because it isn't. It's strictly worse. And then HP, a good tanky stat. Whenever allies' actual range damage dealt reaches 650% of the initial team attack, selects a 3-tile wide line from your side to the enemy side that hits the most enemies, like surging spell type mechanic, then fires a power arrow along it. The arrow deals magic damage equal to 50% of the team's attack to all enemies in its path, knocking them back by 1 tile. Affected enemies take 45% more range damage for the next 6 seconds. Increases skill damage. These arrows also immobilize enemies hit for 3 seconds. Honestly, I am not a fan. Unless you can keep cycling this so much. Like, 650% of the initial team attack. Like, imagine you get this immobilization from the plus 30 upgrade. You knock down all these enemies for 3 seconds. And by the time the 3 seconds are over, you've already done another 650% damage of the team attack. And then boom, you hit them again with another one of these, and you keep immobilizing the enemies. Then potentially it could have use in AFK stages. But basically it would only be AFK stages in my opinion, because immobilization is only valid for AFK stages, and also you would have to have range damage dealers that can actually deal enough damage fast enough to keep triggering this effect. And I believe before the plus 30 upgrade, I'm not a big fan of this. I just think it doesn't really do that much. Okay. Moving on, we have the Bladering Spell, or Bladering Spell. Attack 0.7%, haste as well, life drain. The stats look a little bit low. We've seen higher attack, higher haste together on other artifacts, so these stats are not great. But whenever allies actual cumulative melee damage reaches, so this is a melee artifact, basically like a melee version of Elderbow Spell. 63% of the initial team attack. Each allied hero summons a ring of blades around themselves. After a short delay, the blades deal physical damage equal to 40% team attack to all adjacent enemies and reduce their physical and magical. So the only thing interesting about this is the physical and magical defense shred, but 22% is not enough. But oh, 3 stacks. Okay, then it can be enough. 3 stacks of this. This reminds me a lot of Blade Summon Spell from this season, and for a melee or basically a physical team with melee heroes, this can actually be really good. So Sinbad, I'm looking at Sinbad, Lenya. For Dream Realm, I can definitely imagine this being good. Probably a Dream Realm artifact. Converts 60% of the damage dealt by each ring of blades to healing for the corresponding ally. That doesn't matter as much. Like, usually you don't need the healing for Dream Realm content. It's just you want to maximize your damage as much as possible. Okay, 2 artifacts left. Second last, we have Shieldnova Spell. Defense penetration 0.9. Physical and magical defense 1.2. Vitality as well. Okay, no, this is actually more of a defensive oriented with the defense penetration. Charges the spell whenever allies' shields take damage. Each time allies' total... But this doesn't provide a shield for you, right? Each time allies' total shield value loss reaches 750% of team attack, unleash a massive explosion that deals physical damage equal to 80% of team attack to all enemies. If an ally's shield expires at full duration, that shield's remaining value also contributes to charging the spell and is counted as 40% more than the same amount of shield loss. Honestly, it's just damage. Increases the skill damage. I don't know. It's just damage for losing your shield, and it doesn't seem to even apply shields, but it gives you vitality, so your shielding is more effective in this comp. But like, who's an AoE shielder? You don't have AoE shield as strong for PvP. So, Kalin? Okay. But I don't know. I still feel like all the other artifacts are really strong, really competitive. I don't think this is good enough. But let's see the final. Permanently increases the spell damage by 35% each time it's cast, stacking up to 3 times. Yeah, I don't know about this. I mean, I guess with Kalin and shield related comms is some potential use, but I just feel like there aren't enough meta PvP shielders, and even if they were, I don't think this is a game-changing enough artifact. So I'm not convinced about this one. Okay, the final artifact, Malison Spell. Attack, low attack. It has crit. I think this is the only artifact we've seen with crit so far, and HP as well. Crit is decent for PvP, and even it can be used for Dream Realm. At the start of a battle and every 10 seconds thereafter, cast one of 2 curses in alternating order. Sapping Curse targets the frontmost enemy, reducing the maximum health by 30% for 6 seconds. The reduction can not exceed 200% of the initial team attack. And their physical and magical defense by 40. Okay. It's a pretty big debuff, as well as decent damage output to the frontmost enemy, which would be a boss if you're running in boss content. With the curse, target the farthest enemy, reducing their attack speed by 70, and their attack range by 2 tiles for 6 seconds. Yeah, this is immediately at the start of the battle, so I could see this for PvP. You know, like, you would have, like, a defense shred onto the tank to nuke through them quickly, and you have a pretty massive debuff onto the enemy, and reducing... And their attack, you reduce their attack range by 2 tiles. Like, if it's not an Injus in the back, then that's going to be pretty game-changing onto that hero. I could imagine this in PvP because it's at the first second of the match. And like we said, crit is a pretty good stat for PvP as well. Increase the duration of both curses to 8.5 seconds. And for the first 2 casts of the skill in each battle, applies both curses simultaneously to their... Oh, that is powerful as well. Like, right now, it's going to be one after the other, right? At the start of battle, every 10 seconds thereafter, cast one of the 2 curses in alternating order. But for the first 2 casts, casting on both at the same time, that is really going to be important and make it better for PvP. So before this one, I don't know if it's actually going to be that great in PvP. For some reason, I was thinking already it would be both casted at the same time, but no, they're alternating up until you get the plus 30 upgrade. But anyway, guys, this is really exciting news. These artifacts look great. Honestly, I feel like this might be the season with the best artifacts. Maybe that's a bold statement, but I think there are some really, really powerful ones. Really looking at this Guardian spell, this one's looking crazy. But you guys let me know about what you thought about this video. What do you think about the artifacts? Is there anything I missed? Or which artifact do you think is going to be the most overpowered? Let me know in the comment section. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. If you're not already subscribed to our YouTube channel, please smash that subscribe button. Also, feel free to join my AFK Journey Discord server. There's a link to that in the description of this video. And finally, if you're thinking about making any purchase in AFK Journey, please use my affiliate link for the official Farlight store. There's a link to that in the description of this video and a pinned comment. And if you use that link at no extra cost to you, you will support me and also get 5% bonus dragon crystals on your purchase, because that is how the Farlight store works. But thanks for watching. I'll hopefully see you in the next video, and until then, everyone, peace out for now.